Hi, welcome to today's video. Can you believe that 2020 is finally, or already, almost over? I feel like the year went by really fast, but also so long at the same time. I don't even know how that's possible, but I really wanted to sit down and share with you some of the things that 2020 taught me, how 2020 changed me for the better, what I learned from 2020, the good, the bad, the in-between, everything. It's not surprising that 2020 has caused everyone to slow down, and being at home these last 9 months or so in quarantine, I've really learned how to find purpose in days that felt meaningless. Work on self-improvement, time management, creating my own routine, and a lot of self-reflection, which I always spend too much time on anyway. I started journaling almost every day, turning the everyday ordinary into the extraordinary. And through this, I started to realize that I had learned a lot this year in ways that I never expected I would. I started writing down what I learned as a list, and today I wanted to share that list with you. Now, I know this year was a lot in many ways, and I do not want to ignore that. I try really hard to look at the bright sides of situations and focus on what I can control within that situation. So I find it super helpful for me to create lists like this. No matter what you're going through, I find it super helpful to think about what you've learned from it, and here is what I have learned from 2020. I have the list copied on my phone, so if I'm looking down, I'm looking at this list for reference. I'm just gonna prop it up in front of me on my desk. The first thing that I learned is mindful spending, especially when this year started to take a turn and job security may not have felt as secure as it did before. Just being super aware of how I'm spending my money, saving, looking out for my future self. This came in many forms with the pandemic and just everything starting to take off this year as it did, learning to spend my money more wisely and really saving for my future house, which is hopefully in the near future. So mindful spending, such a great thing that I've learned this year. Going off of that, I have also learned about financial freedom, which is just amazing. Paying off all of my debt, paid off all my student loans this year, all of my debt overall. Having that financial freedom for the first time in my adult life is such an unbelievable feeling that I cannot wait for you to feel if you are waiting for that day to arrive. I've learned about financial freedom. I worked really hard to pay off my loans as soon as possible to avoid high interest and just debt in general. It's been a blessing, to say the least. Something else that I focused a lot on this year, even before COVID hit, was increasing my streams of revenue. This is something going into 2020 that I knew I wanted to work on. I started brainstorming a huge list on my laptop of various streams of potential revenue. What can I do to increase it? And really focusing on looking out for myself, because YouTube is an amazing job. It's a dream come true, but there's no financial security with that. You know, what if, God forbid, and knock on wood, like Vine or like other platforms that have gone under, if this isn't here one day and I lose a stream of income, I want to make sure that I have a lot of eggs in different baskets. You know, don't put all your eggs in one basket, so that if I lose this or something else, I will still be okay because I have an accumulation of various types of revenue streams, and I just wanted to look out for my future self. And I'm so glad that I started this at a time that I did, because looking back, in a lot of ways, I financially took care of myself before COVID hit without even realizing it. The next thing on my list of what I learned in 2020 is I can feel beautiful naturally, like without eyelash extensions, without getting my nails done, without getting my hair done. I've learned from staying at home those first few crucial months where everything was shut down. It took a lot of personal growth and just self-care for me to understand and look at myself physically, literally in the mirror, and realize that I can feel confident without all of these things that used to feel necessary for me to feel confident. Obviously, I've started to get my lashes done again, which has been such a blessing, and I was finally able to get my hair cut and dyed. But there were a lot of times and moments and months where I had to find peace with myself and still create content, even though I didn't have what before made me feel beautiful. So learning that I no longer needed to get my nails done has been such a great blessing that I learned in 2020. I paint them myself now and it's fine. I don't have to spend $60 a month getting them done. Such a waste of money. And I was the type of person that literally felt like naked without my nails done. I cannot believe it. now I can be a lot more natural. I like that. I also learned to shop with a purpose this year and really prep my trips. Prep what I plan on purchasing, make it a necessary trip to the grocery store, to Target, wherever I had to go. Really planning what I was going to spend, not only to help me financially, but also just with social distancing and not being out when I don't necessarily have to. I think this really taught me more structure in my daily life as well and helped me become more wise with my spending. I think I already touched on this next one, but I also learned this year, and like 2020 taught me, to pay off all my debt. Like literally pay it all off as soon as you can. I am going to do a video very soon where I go more into depth about finances and all of this, so I just filmed it. That's why I'm thinking about it. Definitely subscribe and be on the lookout for that next month. But doing this as soon as possible is crucial in your future and your credit score and just everything. So learning to do that, whether that is an extra $10 a month on your loan payment or an extra $100 or whatever you can afford, it will make a big difference, and paying more now will help you pay less in the future. In 2020, I realized that the world is what you make it. Basically, money is out there. You just have to attain it. It's there, it's feasible. Money is out there if you seek it. The world is what you make it. Make your own opportunities, especially staying at home. There are so many ways I've learned to make money online. I have a lot of videos on this. I'm sure we've all gotten super creative with things to do, focusing on what you can control versus what you cannot control. In 2020, I focused on what I could control, and that made the biggest difference. And the next thing on my list of what I learned, to go off of what I just said, is a lot more is within your control than you think. I almost want to just have this one in like all capital letters. It's so important. Just both focusing on what you can control in a situation and then realizing that there's so much more that you can control than you may realize or may have known. Focus on what you can change. Focus on what you can do with yourself and your mood, or like how you spend your day. You're in control of your own life. I had such a hard time transitioning from being a child or a teenager, not in control of so many things that may or may not have been traumatic, to now where I get to make the choices, and that makes a really big difference for your mental health, spiritually, physically, like your work life, everything. The next thing that I learned to do in 2020 is to push myself harder as a creator and a brand online. I really went into this year focusing on my content and knowing what I wanted to achieve and achieving it. So I really just pushed myself to be who I am today, and I am so beyond blessed, grateful, thankful for everything that has happened for everyone here. So thank you so much for all of your support, whether that is simply by watching a video, by following me, by clicking on a referral link, like anything. I wanted to really brand myself for who I am, you know, making it apparent what I stand for online, what my personality is like, not saying that I am a personality, but really trying to bring an authentic side to the internet, and I think I've done a pretty good job at that. The next thing that I learned in 2020 is I started to stay super informed on what has been going on in the world. Like, to think that a year ago I had no idea who the governor of Minnesota is blows my mind, because now I know his full name, I know what he looks like, I know what his voice sounds like thanks to all the radio things I've listened to. Like, because of what we went through as a planet like literally all over the world, I've become so much more informed on what has been going on with all these different issues, and with the presidential elections this year as well, just staying informed with that, with my own nation and what has been happening here nationally as well as globally. I've just become a lot more aware of things, and I think that's really important. 2020 was just a year of realizing things for me. Off of that, privilege. Oh boy. Obviously, you know, before I knew what privilege was, specifically like white privilege, even though I am not completely white, I'm also a minority. This year, it really became personal. You know, with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, I mean, the list is endless with the amount of like tragedies that has happened, especially being from Minneapolis. It's embarrassing that, you know, such a cruel act happened in my city. That's something we are not proud of. But the butterfly effect afterwards of change and conversation and just awareness and seeing what people are now doing, even if that's just getting people to start talking, that is a really good thing, because things like police brutality and racism happens every single day, and it was happening before. But I think with everything that happened the way that it did this year, as horrible as it was, I learned a lot. I think everyone learned a lot. It taught me where a lot of people's values stood, and it just really brought privilege to the forefront of my life, and realizing how it is so present in so many different ways. I think I have a really unique stance on it as well, because I am not white, but I have felt white privilege, and I am not completely a minority, but I have felt that racism before as well. So that's a big topic and pretty serious, but definitely important to address, and something that I learned a lot about this year, and I want to continue to learn more and help make things right. In 2020, I have learned to value every moment with friends and family, whether that is in person, socially distant with friends, or over FaceTime. Just really valuing that quality time with the people that I love in my life. You never know what's going to happen, so really value that time that you get with people when you get that chance. And I could go from hanging out with friends every single week to binge The Bachelor to suddenly being in lockdown, or like spending my whole summer with Bennett at the pool to her getting a job and moving away. Like, I'm so glad that I valued that time with her and had that quality time and made that time for friends and family, because you never know, they could move away, tragedies could occur, you may not be able to see someone if they're at risk. There's a lot of extended family I haven't seen all year because of that. And the next thing I learned in 2020 was gratitude, to be thankful, to realize what you have, and to, I mean, these are things that obviously, like, I knew this before, but you have such a new feeling of gratitude for 2020. Like, I'm so grateful for technology because it's allowed me to still make money during this time. It's allowed me to see my family on FaceTime. I'm so grateful that I can do curbside pickup, or that I have food in my fridge. I'm so grateful I don't work in like a hospital right now. I respect every single frontline worker, but I'm really grateful that there's no one in my life that has to be directly exposed to the virus. Like, focusing on what you're grateful for. I think I started to make a list of what I was grateful for throughout this year as different things happened, and highly recommend doing that. It is so helpful. The next thing that I learned this year are stocks, investing. Oh my gosh, I have increased my revenue so much, increased my income, increased passive income, made a lot of money doing this year. You know, being wise with my money and starting to invest has changed so much and has helped me immensely. I really took advantage of the stock market crash in March by buying a lot of undervalued stocks that have now either recovered or have even grown past what it was before to be doing even better. Like, a lot of stores that you knew would recover, a lot of companies that you knew would be fine. I bought a lot when things were super cheap, and I'm so glad that I did, because I really looked out for my future self. And you know, it's never too late to learn about stocks, to start investing. You know, the time is now, because over time their values, no matter what it is, will hopefully just increase and be worth more than what it's worth now. I do have a full video all about investing for beginners, what I invest in, how to invest. I'm gonna link that below as well as in an iCard. Highly recommend. Also, if you are looking to start your investment journey, please use my Robinhood referral link, because this gives us both a free stock. So it's literally like free money, because you can either keep that stock and have it grow over time, or you can sell that share and earn your money. You have nothing to lose. Just sign up with my link and you'll receive that free stock to get you started in your stock portfolio. But yeah, investment has just been so wise of me to do this year. And if you have not started, I really recommend that you do, or at least start the journey of learning about it and researching it, because this can save your butt later on. Like, if you invested in Amazon a year ago, you're set. There's a lot that factors into what you should invest in, but it can really help you out. The next thing that I learned in 2020 is to shop in bulk. I swear I'm going to have like war flashbacks to trying to shop in March and just seeing row after row of empty shelves. It was scary. Because of this, I have started to shop more in bulk to look out for my future self, but I'm not saying to hoard like the apocalypse is coming. Like, do not hoard everything and buy out the grocery store, because that's a different story, and that's actually not helpful, because then people aren't getting their needs, and that's why we ran out of toilet paper and things that would have been fine if people didn't go crazy. Rule of thumb for me now is, instead of buying one item, I just buy 2 of the same item. 2 cartons of eggs, 2 cartons of milk, 2 things of shampoo, like 2 frozen pizzas instead of 1, just doubling what I would normally buy so that if anything happened, I would be okay. Not only does this ease my anxiety with having the grocery store stocked with what I need, but it keeps my apartment stocked with anything that I would need as well. It also prevents me from having to go back to the grocery store sooner. In fact, if you think about it, it cuts that down by half because you're just buying double every single time. So you're going to the grocery store half of the times that you would before. So it saves you more time. It saves you mileage and gas and energy and fuel energy in the world. It prevents me from getting sick because I'm at the grocery store less than I would be normally if I happen to just catch it from someone out. The chances of that happening is less now, and it actually saves me more money because I am being wiser with how I'm spending my money, and I'm at the store less, and I'm just buying needs, and I'm prepping and looking out for my future self. So even though it may feel like you're spending more in the moment because you're buying double of everything, overall I feel like I'm saving because I'm becoming more aware of my spending and only really buying what I know I will need, and then trying to make it last as long as I can before needing to go back to the grocery store. Even though grocery store trips have been a little scary this year, I think I've really learned how to shop wisely in that area and just buy 2 of everything if you can. In 2020, I learned love in so many ways, and the sacrifices taken by the people that love you or the people that you love, whether this is platonic or romantic or just different types of love, and like the love that we have seen during such hard times. Even like this summer in Minneapolis, after everything happened, you saw a lot of love through this all that people had and care for one another, whether this was during like the pandemic and how much love we had with like cleaning pots and pans for our frontline workers that were leaving for work, and like so many videos that made me happy cry that I saw online. I learned a lot about love this year. The last thing on my list, I wanted to end on a lighter note, but I learned in 2020 that an entire generation can create a musical on an app and then have that actually become a Broadway musical on Broadway months later. So really, if we've learned anything about this year, it is that anything is possible if you can think of it, dream it, do it, post that TikTok, because literally Gen Z just posted TikToks and made a Broadway musical, and it's a thing now. So that just restored my faith in humanity and just like the world in general, and made me super motivated. Honestly, I really do feel like I had the best year of my adult life so far with just everything that I've personally accomplished this year. But I do not want to say that and sound tone deaf to what has been going on around the world, because I understand it has been such a hard, bad, horrible, difficult year. I don't want that to go unnoticed. I'm just trying to focus on the positive, focused on what I learned, focused on what I had control in this year, and talk about that in today's video. But obviously it was a really challenging year. The amount of sacrifices that I know every single person made during these difficult times, those do not go unnoticed. But I really just wanted to take what I went through and see what I learned from it, like spending less money, realizing I don't have to get my nails done, and feeling beautiful without eyelash extensions. Like, it's the little things like that that I think makes a really big difference in myself, in my mindset and my self-esteem and all of that. I just wanted to make a more lighthearted 2020 video on what I had control in, what I learned from it, and I would love to hear what you learned in 2020 down below in the comments. I'd love to hear about anything that happened to you this year. Maybe do like a rose thorn type of comment, a rosebud from your year, something positive, and then a thorn from your year, something negative, just to balance it out, because I don't want it to be like a pessimistic comment, but I also want to hear about like happy things that happened. So that is my list that I came up with for what I learned in 2020, how 2020 made me a better person, and what 2020 taught me overall with everything that had occurred. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to check out any videos mentioned down below, as well as my referral links, and subscribe, because I have a ton of exciting content coming to you in January and February that I have been filming today and prepping. Good things are happening. But I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you next week with my new video. Bye! I was so hurt and upset that I never gave him another chance.